Jason from Red Wing, Minnesota. Hello, James and Dutch. I'm a huge fan of the podcast. I look forward to it every Tuesday and Friday. It's the only podcast I listen to on a regular basis. See, this is the kind of thing where if you want to get picked, you put us over. I mean, that does help.
Put us over like we're the second coming or something. Yeah.
My question is this. George Gulas had a comment about how Dutch criticised him, and I was wondering what Dutch's reply is to the video that I will send a link to below. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to your reply. Maybe we should watch the video, Dutch. How about that?
Yeah, what, he said something about me?
I'm not sure if it's more generalised, but there's a clip of us, or you specifically, at the beginning of it. Let's find it. Here we go. This actually starts with a clip from our podcast.
And his name is George Gulas. The world's, not possibly, but definitely the world's worst professional wrestler.
Back talk, chirp. Well, thanks for the compliment. You know, one of the worst wrestlers, whatever. Well, you see that today. He's one of the worst basketball players, yet he's playing. Vern Gagne's son, Greg Gagne, was the second worst wrestler ever wrestled. Why? Because his dad, Vern, pushed him. So I'm not the only one. It's the thing about the father-son relationship, and that's in any sport. It's depressing. Jim Cornette was a mouth about that. You don't know the whole story, and why are you running somebody down? You've run so many people down in the past. See, I heard that
Let me just pause there. Why are you running someone down, and then he runs Jim Cornette down?
His wife and him would invite another female over, and they'd have threesomes. I didn't know that till about 2 or 3 months ago. Julie said, I know that. I heard that. I've heard even wrestlers say that. He'd invite a wrestler over, and his wife would share sex with him. And, you know, but that's their business.
So.
That is gold. That is too much.
He's really butthurt there, isn't he?
Brother, please. Not only he's not interesting at all, and that's the way he talks. So, but he didn't say anything bad about me. He got off on Cornette. So he didn't even say if I was this, that, or the other. He just let that go. But still, the tag still fits. He's still the worst wrestler in the world. This is the first time he's got any exposure at all. And thanks to you, James, you gave him that exposure.
Wait,
now
what,
he's going to. Well, you're the one that kind of pulled that email out. So
I've pulled a lot of emails out regarding George Gulas. Yeah. Let's just take something that he said. So in his mind, people are calling him the worst wrestler ever because he was the son of a promoter and he was pushed.
Yes.
That's the reason why he's the worst wrestler ever. Dutch, you've been told.
Yeah. Yeah, and if his father had not been a promoter, he would anybody would look at George and say, see that door you came in on? I want you back out that door and keep going. Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. Just stay away from me. And yeah, that's the only reason. Nepotism. Oh, I'll start my son. He's horrible. And I would never go out and watch one of his matches because first of all, I couldn't stand it. Second of all, he embarrassed me if somebody saw me watching him. And I couldn't take that. So, and I'm not the only one that ever said that. I think everybody that watched this or watched him again on YouTube, because they even got George Gulas matches on YouTube. Mm-hmm. You can go there and you can see for yourself. So tell me, am I wrong? Tell me, am I lying? Who said that? CM Punk? Tell me if I'm lying. Yep, I'm going to use that term now.
I actually watched quite a lot of George Gulas this morning to prepare myself for this. It was mostly him. Don't ask me why. This was in the comeback, so I think like Nick Gulas shuts up shop in like 79 or something.
Yeah.
Then he reopens a few years later with George Gulas, and it's more George as a commentator announcer, and he's even useless at that. And then someone told me that, funny you mentioned basketball in that clip, Because someone also mentioned that he was a basketball commentator for a local basketball team, and he was shit then as well. He can't do anything.
This is what he used to do. We would have a show, and they would have like a basketball team, like a Rotary Club or Supporters Club. Well, he would go out and he would, Vanderbilt's in Nashville. He got a couple of Vanderbilt players. He paid them, and they went in this little town. And, they just blew this little local, these guys like 40 years old. They just blew them out and embarrassed them at home. So about, I think, toward the end of the season, they said, George, let's do that charity basketball game again. Okay. But this time he just used the wrestlers. They went out and recruited. They did not forget that George embarrassed them in that earlier game. And they blew out George's team. It was like 80 to like 30. And boy, they were riding George. And George got mad. Finally, just pulled the team off the court, quit. Before the game was over, I heard. Because he'd always want me to play in the back. I wouldn't do it. And he didn't like that. I said, I am not a basketball player. And I'm damn sure not going out with, but hell, I could play basketball better than he could. But I just didn't. I just chose not to do it. I wouldn't do it. So he never liked that, but I don't give a crap.
Also, I want to pull up something. Well, by George Gulas's logic, if there is any there, if he's the worst wrestler in the world, that must mean Greg Gagne is the second worst wrestler in the world, he's by far nowhere near the worst wrestler in the world. He was fine. No. He just looked stupid. Yeah, for the times. He was nowhere near big enough, and he wasn't Vern. But he was a legit athlete, and, I think he was like quarterback for a top 10 college football team at the time. So he had some pedigree. Anyway, George Gulas. Oh, also the other thing that I don't know if I ever mentioned here. When I interviewed Ricky Morton the first time, I think it was Ricky Morton who said George tried to get Ricky fired from the territory because a girl that George liked Ricky more.
I believe it. Huh? I believe it. He was that way. So that guy was, nobody liked him. The talent, George, his daddy didn't even like him. So it was too much. He was an only child, and I never thought he was Nick's kid anyway. Nick wasn't a tall guy, and George was kind of tall. He's like 6'3" or more. So, and he was just, never mind. I'm in a bad mood.
Was Nick a wrestler or just a promoter?
No, he was a promoter.